Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Dr. Ali Elzeiny, and this is the Arabic class, Weekend Islamic School. And we are doing the verb sentences. As we said before, the noun sentence is the sentence that starts with a noun, which means the first word is a noun. A verb sentence is a sentence that starts with verb, which means that the first word is a verb. Okay, now verbs are divided based on the tense and kind. Here we are showing the division based on tense. We have the past tense, which is فعل ماضي. Past tense verb is فعل ماضي, and the grammar rule is مبني على الفتحة, built-in فتحة. The built-in تشكيل is the تشكيل that doesn't change regardless of grammar. Okay, so regardless of grammar, this built-in will not change. For example, if we say, for example, mina, min, if we say min, or ila, or فوق, above. Okay, the tashkil of these words don't change with grammar, with position, with context. This the same tashkil. It's always the same tashkil. But this is not the case, for example, in the word, for example, if we say, for example, bab, which is door. Bab, tashkil, the ba, the first tashkil here is the tashkil of the ba. Okay, the ba tashkil here is fatha, ba, and the reason, and this tashkil is called built-in. Built-in tashkil means that it will never change, regardless of the context, regardless of the grammar, regardless of i'rab, it's always the same. However, this second tashkil is not always the same. So we can't say this dhamma is built in. Dhamma is not built in. Why? Because you can have the baba, babu, you can have baba, you can have babin, you can have babin, babi. Okay, so basically this tashkil here, the ba fatha here, this is built in, will never change. Doesn't matter what it is, it will never ever change, regardless of context, i'rab, position, whatever. But the second tashkil is called i'rab, is not built in. It's i'rab tashkil. And i'rab tashkil, why? Because if it's marfu', it's dhamma. If it's mansub, it's fatha. If it's majroor, it's kasra. So there is a mabni, which is built in, and there is i'rab, which is changes. So the past tense verb is always mabni ala al-fath. It means it's always fatha. It's always fatha. It doesn't matter what's the context, whatever it is, it's always fatha. This is the past tense verb. Okay. The second kind is the present tense, and it's always marfu', always marfu'. And we know the sign of marfu' is, marfu', this is marfu', and the sign of marfu' is dhamma for the verb. It's always marfu', which is dhamma for the verb. Okay. Now, the future tense is exactly the present tense, you just add seen before it. So, يأكل, سيأكل. Play. يلعب, سيلعب. ينام, سينام, sleep. يشرب, drink, سيشرب will drink in the future. سينام ينام sleep, so it's going to be ينام سينام will sleep. So you see, all you need to do is just take the present tense, put seen before the present tense, it becomes future tense. It's very simple. And then we have the command verb. We have the command verb, and the command verb is basically you're commanding someone to do something. And this is always, it's called فعل أمر. فعل أمر. And it is مبني على السكون. It means it's always have a سكون. Built-in سكون means it doesn't change. It's always سكون. Always سكون. And I just want to remind you guys about this symbol here. This symbol means عين. So you read this word, you read مرفوع. مرفوع. Why? Because we agreed from the beginning. This symbol means عين. So that's مرفوع. Okay? Some people do it like this. Do it like this. مرفوع. Like that. 3. Okay? So it doesn't matter. Whatever method you like, but this means عين. مرفوع. Okay. Now the verb sentence structure is verb plus subject plus object, or verb plus object plus subject. So we have two kinds. Verb sentence is made of verb, subject, object, or alternatively, verb, object, subject. So we're allowed to change the sequence. We can bring the verb first, and then can bring the verb first, and then the verb has to always become first, but we can bring the object as number 1 and the subject number 2, or make the subject number 1 and the object number 2. So the subject and the object can exchange places. And I'll show you if they can exchange places, then how do we figure out which one is the subject or which one is the object? We'll explain it to you, inshallah, in a few minutes. The default case of subject is مرفوع. That's the default, okay? And the default case of object is mansub. That's default. There are other situations where it's not, okay? But the default, which we study the defaults here because this is just like a beginner's class. So the default is مرفوع for the subject, and for the object, the default is mansub. In the past tense verb, 3 here means third person. So when you say verb 3, it means third person. When you say verb 1, then it's first person. Verb 2 is the second person. So in the tense verb sentence, in the case of third person, female subjects, we attach a ta to the end. Okay, so the farmer, which is one male, planted a flower, and flower is a female word in Arabic, female noun. There's a difference between female noun and female name. Flower here is a female noun. So, okay, so this is how we do it. We want to make it, زرع is planted, and you notice that here, if you notice that the ayn, you have fatha. You notice here you have fatha on the ayn, which is that we said the past tense verb always have fatha built in. It can never be other than fatha. It's always fatha. It doesn't change. Built in. So you can see zara'a. Zara'a, planted. So, and this is fatha. So zara'a, past tense. الفلاح the farmer. الفلاح. Now الفلاح is the subject. زرع is the past tense verb. الفلاح is the subject. Okay? And the subject is always مرفوع. Actually, the default case of subject is مرفوع. So that's why you see a ضمة here. You say why مرفوع here? You put a ضمة because it's مرفوع. Can we put a فتحة or كسرة? No, it has to be الفلاح ضمة. Why? Because it's مرفوع. The default case for the subject is مرفوع. And if we look up here, we say مرفوع for singular noun. مرفوع is ضمة. مرفوع is ضمة. Whether صرف is allowed or forbidden, it's ضمة. So we don't need to worry about صرف. It's always ضمة here for singular. Okay. So it's always مرفوع. So مرفوع is always ضمة. That's why we have الفلاح, not الفلاحة, and not الفلاحي. We have الفلاح. Now, flower is وردة. Okay. And the reason here we don't have تنوين on الفلاح, we have ضمة, not تنوين ضمة, because it has ألف لام. If we have ألف لام, then we cannot have a, if we have ألف لام, then we cannot have a تنوين. But here, وردة, a flower, وردة, any flower, it doesn't have ألف لام. Then we should have تنوين. We must have تنوين unless صرف is forbidden. And وردة, صرف is allowed. صرف is allowed for وردة. If we want to figure out whether why is this allowed or forbidden, we can just go ahead and visit this cases where the صرف is forbidden. There are how many cases here? 8 cases. So none of them is وردة. None of them وردة, which is a flower, is none of them. So it means that صرف is allowed for وردة. صرف is allowed for وردة. So therefore we can have تنوين. We can have تنوين because صرف is allowed for وردة. Okay. But if it is الوردة, then we can't say تنوين. So by itself, without ألف لام, وردة. But with ألف لام is going to be الوردة. الوردة. This is تاء مربوطة. It means if you stop, it becomes وردة. If you continue, then الوردة. Okay. And of course, if you continue, you don't have تنوين because تنوين is only at the end of the word. You cannot have تنوين elsewhere. Okay. So زرع الفلاح وردة. Now, we said the object is وردة. So the subject is فلاح, farmer, and the object is وردة. وردة, which is the flower. Okay. So we said that the default case for the object is منصوب. Okay. When we say subject, we say الفاعل. Object المفعول به. المفعول. You can just say مفعول for short. So زرع فعل ماضي مبني على الفتح. الفلاح is subject, which is فاعل مرفوع بالضمة. فاعل subject مرفوع بالضمة because this is ضمة here. وردة is مفعول به منصوب بالفتحة. مفعول به means object منصوب with فتحة. Okay. Now, what if instead of the farmer being one male, we make it one female? Then all you need to do is just add a تاء at the end. Okay. So زرعت زرعتي زرعتي becomes, instead of زرعة becomes زرعتي. So زرع الفلاح وردة becomes زرعت الفلاحة وردة. I think it's with سكون here. It should be with سكون. Yes, should be with سكون. Okay. كسرة works also as well. We can say زرعت الفلاحة وردة وردة, or we can say زرعت الفلاحة وردة. Okay. Now, same thing here. Now, the difference between this example, these two examples here, and these two examples here is that instead of one male, I make it two male. Instead of one female, I make it two female. Okay. So what happened? The only thing that changes for all of these, a flower is the same, one female. So there will be no change in this. Okay. The only change here is between 1M and 2M. And we know to change from 1M into 2M, all you need to do is just add alif noon. When you add alif noon, okay, now it becomes for dual, two males. So the only difference is this here. So زرع الفلاحان وردة. You might say this is مرفوع. So مرفوع, it means it's alif, because there are two possibilities. You can say الفلاحان or الفلاحين. الفلاحان or الفلاحين. Because it's مرفوع, we do choose the alif. Because if we go back to the table, it says for dual, both 2M and 2F, مرفوع is alif, منصوبا مجرور is ياء. مرفوع is alif, منصوبا مجرور is ياء. Okay, so alif, so we have فلاحان or فلاحين. Because it's مرفوع, because it's subject is مرفوع. مرفوع for double is alif. Okay. So we choose alif. So that is correct. That's wrong. Ya noon is wrong. Alif noon is right. Okay, because it's marfu'. Everything else is the same. Okay. Now, here, it's two female. For this example, fourth example, 1, 2, 3, fourth example here. This is two female. So we can look at the one female form. So we take the one male form and we just add alif noon. So just add alif noon. Of course, not here. Here. We just take al-fallahatu. So the ta' marbuta will become ta' maftuha because ta' marbuta is only at the end. So this ta' female ta', this female ta' here is ta' marbuta. Okay? If you're going to add alif noon, then you convert it into ta' maftuha. Okay? Because you can't have ta' marbuta, you can't have like this. You can't do like this. You can't say this because ta' marbuta can only be at the end, cannot be elsewhere. Okay, so that's why we make it, change it into ta' maftuha, and then noon, and then we just add the alif noon. We can, the alternative is to do ya noon, but no, because ya only if it's mansub or majroor. But it is alif because it's marfu'. That's the only difference. Okay. Now, this is the first group of examples here. Now let's look at the second group. Let's give this a little bit different color. Just for now. The second group, what is about the second group? The difference is here Number one, instead of a flower, becomes the flower. So instead of وردة, it becomes الوردة. Okay, so what do? This is without alif lam because it's a flower. But if it's the flower, then it has alif lam. Once you have alif lam, then tanween is not allowed. You cannot have tanween with alif lam. So you can't say this. You can't say, okay, I'm going to do it like tanween fatha. The answer is wrong. Why? Because alif lam and tanween don't come together. Once you have alif lam, then tanween is no longer a possibility. So you see wardatan becomes al-wardata. Okay? Okay, now that's the first part that we need to know. The second part is that now that was 2M and 2F. This is 3M, 3F. 3M, 3F. Okay. 3M, 3F. Okay. 3M and 3F. It's always marfu'. Okay. The farmers, which is the subject, marfu'. Planted the flower. The flower is the object, so it's mansub. Okay. So I'm going to take this form, which is farmer, fallah, and to make it 3 plus M, I can say 3 plus M or 3M, doesn't matter. But just for it to be consistent, let's make them like this. And let's take this one out. Okay. Okay, so we know that the rules before tells us that you can add waw noon or ya noon. So this is al-fallah. You can add waw noon or ya noon to the name al-fallah, the noun. And when you do that, it becomes, instead of 1M, it becomes 3 plus M. So all I needed to do is just add waw noon to make it 3 plus M. Okay, so now the choices are waw noon or ya noon. Which one is correct? So I can do this, or I can do this, ya noon, or I can do waw noon. Which one is correct? We go back to the table here, mark of nouns, and it says that for 3 plus M, marfu' is waw. Marfu' is waw. For 3 plus M, marfu' is waw. Okay, so fallahun, yes. Fallahin, no. Because it's marfu'. Why it's marfu'? Because it's a subject. And why it's marfu' with waw? Because it's 3 plus M. Male plurals, regular male plurals. Or regular male plural. Okay. Please, if you have a question, interrupt me. When you're silent, I assume that everything is fine and you're doing well. Okay. Now we want to make this, instead of 3M, we make it 3F, which is regular female plural. Okay, so the only thing that will change, this is the only change between this case and this case, is that this is M and this is F. This is male and this is female. Okay, so I need to get the word fallahatu, okay, and make it plural. And the way we do that, we take away the ta' marbuta, or actually we go to the male form and just add alif ta' to the male form. Add alif ta'. So becomes al-fallahatu. So the rule it says that in order to make a noun, regular female plural, you take the male plural, you take the singular male and add alif ta. Or you can take the singular female, delete the ta marbuta and put alif ta. So just easier to say, just take the male form. Okay. Now, al-fallahatu, this dhamma is i'rab. Why? Because it's possible to say al-fallahatu, it's possible to say al-fallahata, it's possible to say al-fallahati. But al-fallahatu is subject. And the subject is marfu'. Subject means fa'il. Fa'il. The one who does the verb. The one who did the verb is called fa'il. And the one the verb is done on is called maf'ul bihi. For short, we say maf'ul. Okay? So, الفاعل مرفوع بالضمة والمفعول به منصوب بالفتحة. So how do we know that that's dhamma here? We go back to the same table that we're talking about. That table is very essential table. You can have it like in a place, handy place for you. Okay, so it says that when I have 3 plus f, and it is the case of 3 plus f, then marfu' is dhamma, mansub is kasra, majroor is kasra. So I have al-fallahatu, al-fallahati, al-fallahati. Which one do we pick? We pick al-fallahatu because it's marfu'. It's a subject, and the subject is always marfu' with dhamma. Okay, the haraka for Arab is dhamma. Okay, so okay, now this group here shows a different kind of example. This one, this group here they just did, it's about planting. It's about a farmer planting a flower with different choices and different combinations. Okay, now these two here, this group here is about a driver driving a car. The car is a female noun. So there's no male car or female car. Car in Arabic is a female noun. The reason is because it ends with ta marbuta. That's why we consider it to be female now. The driver is a sa'iq, which is the subject, the doer of the verb, which is in Arabic we say al-fa'il. Al-fa'il. Drove is the past tense verb, which is qada. And the car is the object, which is as-sayyarata. Now, we want to do for one M, for one male. Okay, so qada, as-sa'iqu, as-sayyarata. قاد فعل ماضي مبني على الفتح. Past tense verb with فتحة, built on فتحة. فتحة is built on, don't change. السائق, the driver. Now, can I say سائق? Can I, instead of this, say it is سائق? Can I put السائق? The answer is no, you can't. Why? Because there's an alif lam. Got it? Because there is an alif lam, then tanween is not a possibility. Can I have tanween here? Sayyarata, car? No. Why? Because there is alif lam. Okay? And this is the driver, the car. So as-sa'iqu, as-sayyarata. So it has alif lam. Okay. Okay. Now, if I ask you to change this one M into one F, instead of singular male, make it singular female. Okay? The only thing that you need to do is just add the ta, the female ta. So basically, in short, if you, yes, if you want to get the female version, so instead of saying the female version, the male version is فعل, the female version is فعلت. زرع, زرعت. قاد, قادت. نظف, نظفت. Okay, okay. Now, let me make this correction before I forget it. That correction is that this one has سكون. استاء والسكون, not with كسرة. Well, both works. So let me resolve this issue later. Okay. For now, let's agree that it's kasra. Okay, now let's look at this example here. A driver drove a car, 1M. The driver drove a car, 1F. So the difference between these two is that the verb that is going to be the ta, the female ta. The female ta added to the verb in the past tense. Keep an eye on that because in the present tense, the ta is going to be before the verb. So here, the past tense, the ta is after the verb. When we move forward to the present tense, you will see that the ta comes before the verb. The female ta comes before the verb. Okay? Okay. So now, the trash man cleaned the house, cleaned a house. House, it's indefinite form of the noun. So it is not going to have an alif lam, but it will have tanween fatha. And we agreed that tanween fatha, you could do it like this. You could do it like this. You could look here. You can do it like this. You put the tanween on the top of the ta. However, that's not the standard way. The standard way in Arabic is that we add, whenever we have tanween fatha, this is what we do. We add alif. We add alif. And in the top of this alif, we put the tanween fatha. See? Tanween fatha. And that's only for tanween fatha. We add alif. Other than that, no, we don't. Okay. So, why this is fatha? Because the word house is a singular word and it's a singular noun. And singular noun is marfu' and the mark for marfu' is dhamma. So that's فعل ماضي past tense مبني على الفتحة, built in فتحة. And this is فاعل, which is subject, مرفوع بالضمة. مرفوع and the mark, the حركة for مرفوع is ضمة. And this one is مفعول به, object, منصوب بالفتحة. means that it's mansub, and the haraka for mansub is fatha, but because we don't have alif lam and sarf is not, and sarf is allowed, no problems with sarf, then we have tanween instead. Okay. Now, if we make it one female, we just add the ta. Simply add the ta. And also for the noun, of course, zabbal is for a man. Zabbala for one male, one man. Zabbalatu is for two. Or, I'm sorry, is for one woman. So we notice here, we add female ta here, and we add female ta here. We add female ta here, and we add female ta here. We add female ta here, and we add alif ta here. So same thing here. We add female ta to the verb and female ta to the subject. Okay. So basically, it depends on the subject. We need either female ta or we don't need female ta. Here, female ta, and here, female ta. Okay, then if we're going to make this word to be a 2M instead. So now 2M means that you add alif nun. The verb is going to be the same. You just add alif nun to it. Okay, so here the farmers, 2M planted flowers, 3 plus F. Okay, farmers, 2M, it means that we will not have ta'nith. We will not have ta'nith. Okay, but here, because it's the same thing, by the way, flowers, 3 plus F means that you take the singular form, you take away ta'nith and add alif ta. So wardata becomes wardatin. Okay. Now here, the driver, which is one female, so it means that it will show there will be a one ta'nith, female ta showing here, and one female ta showing here. Okay, because it's one F, so the verb will have a female ta, and the subject, al-fa'il, will have a female ta. And now here we go. That's an error. That's wrong. Why? Because cars, 2M, okay, we have two choices, either sayyaratan or sayyaratain. Okay, so what is mansub? Mansub, is it alif or ya? We go back here. We'll look here. We say, okay, mansub for dual, double. Mansub is ya. Mansub is ya. So then this should be an error that needs to be fixed. What's that error? Is that this should be a sayyaratain. Sayyaratain. Why? Because it's mansub. So this is how we say the grammar. This is how we state the grammar. We say قادت فعل ماضي مبني على الفتح. The تاء is تاء التأنيث. السائقة فاعل مرفوع بالضمة. السيارتين مفعول به منصوب بالياء. مفعول به منصوب بالياء. Okay? Okay. Now here, the only difference is that we changed the drivers instead of one female into three females, plural, female, and we changed the cars into plural females also. Now, the drivers, 3 plus female, we add alif ta. That's for 3 plus female, we add alif ta. The cars for 3 plus female, we also add alif ta. Okay? All right. So we have here the female thingy, the thing that makes this female, female, female. This red stuff is because it's female. Okay? Now, so the regular female plural, which is 3 plus F, mansoob, this is mansoob, is kasra, because the regular female plural mansoob is kasra. The mansoob haraka for mansoob is kasra. So we say here, if we say i'rab for this, we will say this is maf'ul bihi, which is object, mansoob bil kasra. Mansoob bil kasra. Why kasra? Because it is regular female plural. See here, regular female plural, mansoob bil kasra. Mansoob bil kasra, regular female plural. Okay? Okay. Okay. The 2 dogs, 2M, ate 1M. Meat, 1M. So it's meat. It's not the meat. It's just meat. So in this case, we don't have alif lam, and because of this, we have tanween at the end. So أكل فعل ماضي past tense مبني على الفتحة built in فتحة. الكلباني 2 dogs, it is فاعل. أكل is ate. الكلباني is فاعل, the ones who ate, subject. فاعل subject مرفوع بالألف. مرفوع بالألف. So it's مرفوع because, and it has alif here. If it wasn't مرفوع, then it would be الكلبيني, it will have ياء. لحما, again, as we said, whenever you do tanween fatha, you add alif to put the tanween on the top of it. So لحما. Okay? So لحما is meat, which is going to be an object, which is مفعول به منصوب بالفتحة. منصوب بالفتحة. Okay, how about if we have a female cat? Then female cat, we know the difference between a male cat and female cat is this ta. So for a male cat, we say القط. For a female cat, we say القطة. We add ta, تأنيث. So شربت. شربت. This ta here is because it's a female. القطة because it's a female. So we say فعل ماضي شربت is فعل ماضي past tense verb مبني على الفتحة. The إعراب, there is no, this فتحة is not إعراب, is مبني, built on فتحة, doesn't change. القطة, it is the subject مرفوع بالضمة, and the ما حركة في المرفوع is ضمة. لبنا is milk, and the حركة is فتحة. Okay? If we move to the homework is exactly just like what we explained, which is right here. Yes, that's the homework. In the homework, to make life easy on you, I specified a procedure. And, you know, I specified a procedure which is right here. Yeah, we don't need this. We already know about that. Okay, so we already know about that. This is what we have been doing, the rules we have been using, the haraka and the i'rab and everything. And these are the examples we just did. So we can just take it out. Okay. Now, okay. What does this question means? We have a dual form, voice, 2M. And if it's marfu', it's alif. This would be alif if it's marfu'. Or it would be ya if it's mansoob. So marfu' it's alif, mansoob is ya. So what is the story here? Why do I put question mark? I put a question mark because I don't want to tell you is it alif, noon, or ya, noon. And this one here, I left the tashkil for you. So you basically say, okay, rakiba is a past tense verb. The haraka, not haraka, it's built-in fatha. Built-in is not haraka. Haraka is opposite to built-in. Okay, so we do rakaba, rakiba. And then this one will be ahmadu. And this one will be husanan. See? This rakiba has built-in fatha. Ahmadun, ahmadu, it's fa'il, subject. Subject is marfu', and the haraka for marfu' is dhamma. Hisanan is mansoob, horse, mansoob, and the haraka for mansoob, for a singular and male, is fatha. But because we don't have alif lam, we can have tanween. We have to have tanween if we don't have an alif lam, unless sarf is forbidden. Like here, for example. You might say, why didn't I say rakiba ahmadun husanan? Why? Because sarf is forbidden for the word Ahmad. Sarf is forbidden for the word Ahmad. Why? So if I say Muhammad instead of Ahmad, if I do that, if I say Muhammad, then it will be correct. Because Muhammad sarf is not forbidden for Muhammad. But that's not Muhammad, that was Ahmad. So sarf is forbidden for Ahmad. That's why we say Ahmadu. You ask me and say, okay, why Ahmad sarf is not allowed? We go back to the table. The grammar book, and we go to sarf. We find that Ahmad is right here. Okay? So Ahmad was forbidden from sarf for two reasons. Case number 3, and case number 5. So it is Ahmed, sounds like أفعل, okay? And there is Ahmed. So okay, so that's why. And what I want you to do in the homework, just like what I did here, is to copy this down here and to specify this is alif because it's marfu' and this is ya because it's mansub. And the tashkil, you can always get the tashkil. Let's say this one doesn't have a tashkil, so you can copy it and go to the Mishkal website. And paste it, tashkil. So you need to massage this a little bit because it's not always correct. So you take this one here, you copy it back. Now, we know rakiba is a past tense verb, so it has to have fatha. So this tanween is wrong. So you do like this. So it's not cut and paste. You need to keep an eye. So actually, I can find it already. I can find the correct form already there because this one can't have. So it's right here. Rakab, rakiba, rakaba. Yeah, rakaba works. Rakaba. And this is Ahmada. That's a subject. So we choose Ahmadu. Here. Ahmadu, but we want Hamza Fatha. Here. Ahmadu, Ahmadu. So I can make the correct choices here. Sayyarata, mansub, should be mansub with fatha. So you choose this one, sayyarat. So this way you get it correctly right away from here. So you don't have to make any corrections. But you see how did I choose this? Because of i'rab. Okay, and then I go back to the homework and paste this. So I don't have to make any changes. ركب فعل ماضي مبني على الفتح. أحمد فاعل مرفوع بالضمة. السيارة مفعول به منصوب بالكسرة. ركب past tense with past tense verb with فتحة built in. أحمد is a subject مرفوع and the حركة for مرفوع is ضمة. السيارة is object and the sign for object and the حركة for object is فتح. Okay? And basically, during this homework, I've provided you everything. I just needed you to do the tashkil, basically. And if it does not concern a tashkil, if it concerns an alif, for example, here is going to be 3 plus m, so it's going to be la'ibuna. So this is going to be wow. So I expect you to do like this and do like this, and then you say this is wow, like this. And then to take the whole thing, copy, and go to the Mishkal website, paste, تشكيل. كرة is correct, اللاعبون is correct, لعبة is correct. No, this is لعبة, no, لعبة. We want لعبة. Here it's لعبة. So then you copy all of this and you paste it. كرة. You might say, hey, this is تنوين فتحة. How come you didn't do like this? How come you didn't put ألف? Like here, we put ألف في تنوين فتحة. How come? The rule says that if the تاء is تاء مربوطة, we can't add فتحة. Why? Because تاء مربوطة must be at the end of the word. You cannot have a تاء مربوطة unless it's the last letter in the word. So this is why we don't do that. We don't add a تاء. We don't add an ألف for تنوين فتحة. Okay, any questions? Okay. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.